So this is session 2 of the resurrection. And yesterday we looked at the fact that there must have been an empty tomb. Otherwise you wouldn't have had the Jewish people coming up with the story of the stealing of Jesus' body. Today I want to look at some other evidence for the bodily resurrection of Jesus. Now, the disciples and the women who'd followed Jesus didn't automatically presume that he'd risen because it was so completely against the natural order of things, and the reality took time to sink in. In John's account, we have Mary coming to the tomb only to find the stone rolled away and the body gone. And she went running back to the other disciples and she said to them, "Look, someone's stolen the body." And so Peter and John went running to see for themselves. And it says when they got there, they saw where the body had been laid and the grave clothes lying there with the linen that had been wrapped around his head separately folded. Now, if someone had come and stolen the body, it would have been a very difficult thing to do with a guard there. And so if they had managed it at all, they certainly wouldn't have taken time to unwrap the body and fold the grave clothes. It would have really been a snatch and grab. So what is it saying? It's saying that the body must have passed through those grave clothes. There's important symbolism here. In John 11 we have the story of Jesus raising Lazarus, and he called him out of the tomb, and Lazarus came out still wrapped in the grave clothes, and Jesus had to say to his sisters, "Now unwrap him, untie him, set him free." Because Lazarus simply came back with the same body that he had before, and Lazarus would die again. But Jesus' body was different. It had passed through the wrappings. And then we read later that he would appear to his disciples, and he'd appear through a wall, or he'd appear where time and distance sort of didn't matter. And it's just showing that his body was now outside of time and space. So it wasn't the same body, although he still bore the scars of the crucifixion. He was still Jesus, but his body was new. He would never die again. Now, another thing we read in Luke, the women went to the tomb, and it says they were standing by the shelf where Jesus' body would have been laid, and suddenly an angel appeared on either side of them. So 2 angels, one on either side. Now, there's a picture here. If we go back to the tabernacle, and of course the temple, and the Holy of Holies, in the Holy of Holies was the Ark of the Covenant, and that was the very presence of God. The top of the ark was the mercy seat. That's where the high priest would go in once a year, sprinkle blood there of the sacrifice for the sins of the nation. Now, on either end of that ark was a cherub, and the two were leaning over the mercy seat with their wings touching. Now here you have the women standing beside the shelf, and suddenly there is an angel on either end. I don't know whether they were leaning over and their wings touching, but it's the symbolism of here was the mercy seat of God, the very presence of God. But it's saying that presence is no longer in a cut-off place. That presence is now released into the world. The mercy of God, the very presence of God, released for all to see. And that's what the resurrection is about. God's mercy released to all people.
Oh, the mercy of God, the glory of grace, that He chose to redeem us, to forgive and restore, and You call us Your children, chosen in Him, to be holy and blameless, to the glory of God, to the praise of His glory and grace, to the praise of His glory and power, to Him revealed to